what is affordable, most people would say that that's not really affordable, a $650,000 house. It's all relative to where you live and how much income you have. But for us, I'd like to make the prices go down as much as we get better at this, as we get fine-tuned at it, and we buy the dirt appropriately. There's no reason why we can't continue to offer passive houses at or below market rate for a code-built home.
Right.
And we're already at code-built home pricing right now. I mean, this passive house that we just created is right at market rate, if not a little below what a code-built house is selling for down the street. So I don't think we're reaching to try to hit some pinnacle here on pricing or pushing it to cover costs. I think we're right there already, and I think we can get better at it.
There's always room for improvement.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is that we do this, and then 10 years from now, what's the next thing going to be?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have different technologies, and
Yeah.
always improving.
Yeah.
So,
That's actually one more thing I really like about Passive House is the state of Washington, the energy code is going to step down between now and 2031, getting increasingly tighter. I think it's a 70% reduction over whatever the 2009 kind of baseline energy code was. And so Passive House is, in that stepping, is at about 2029, 2030. So in effect, builders will need to be building this way in 15 years anyway? So I mean, you're way ahead of the curve.
yeah.
Right? So,
But we're way behind the Europeans on it, though.
Yeah.
Oh, way
because
behind.
they already have, some counties where it's already mandated
Yeah.
on public buildings, and then they're building it into the building codes in Europe, for 2015.
Yeah,
mandatory to
Brussels
meet.
2015.
And what brings me, because I'm kind of confused on the difference between the passive house standard for Europe and the US. I know there's been some friction. I know we're not going to work with you, and they kind of separated, they cut ties with each other. What is the difference, and what is going on with this passive house kind of conflict?
Yes, everyone should be able to get along. Like, we're all doing passive houses. We should all be part of the same global community.
Yeah.
I think what it's basically come down to is kind of philosophical differences between what the US group wanted to do and how they wanted to use Passive House to pair up with other organizations, and what the Passive House Institute's philosophy was. And so the Passive House Institute in Germany still maintains kind of like the holistic standard. The Passive House Institute US is moving towards potentially changing it. They kind of keep floating ideas, like make it a little bit easier where it's colder, make it harder where it's warmer. I think our kind of feeling is that it's hard in cold regions for a reason. And so instead of maybe building detached housing in super cold regions where it's really difficult, maybe our buildings kind of huddle together like the Eskimos and make a more compact house.
Yeah, multifamily, row houses, things like that. Make
But
it
still set the standard to standard regardless of what kind of housing it is, really, right?
Yeah.
And that's why it's called a standard.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing. It's
not just
it's just
making it
no
easy.
matter where you are in the world.
Okay.
I feel like there's this, and Mark kind of hit on this earlier, there's this American thing where we adopt something and then we have to like change it to make it ours.
Make it American.
Yeah, and fundamentally, I'm not really sure if that's the correct approach on this. I understand some of the reasons that Fies has done it, but it's not like the Passive House Institute in Germany isn't working in cold regions, right? They're working in Russia, they're working in Ekaterinburg, right? These are some of the coldest climates in the world. They're working in, there was a Passive House project that was completed in Jakarta, so super hot, super humid as well. So the same kind of climate issues that the US is dealing with, Passive House Institute is dealing with on a global scale. So it's not like this North American problem, right? We have the most extreme things in the world, and so we have to be our own. I mean, I feel like they're really comparable.
Sounds kind of silly, to be honest.
In a lot of ways, it is ridiculously silly. And so I think our hope is that eventually everyone can kind of come to the same page, and there are people in the background working to kind of smooth things over and kind of bring the groups back together, because fundamentally everyone's trying to do the same thing.